Hello, I'm Alan Capper of South South News. Being in politics, taking the responsibility for leadership in villages and towns and countries is particularly demanding in the developing nations. We have a guest with us today, a rising and much respected young Indian politician. She is the mayor, and we'll get the Indian name for that in a moment, of Soja in Rajasthan, India. And her name is Chhavi Rajawat. Chhavi, it's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you for having me over.
We're particularly honored because I believe you're being looked upon as something of a rising young politician in India generally.
Right.
There was an award, I believe, that you won for this?
Yes,
Don't be modest. Right. Do tell us, because government is not an easy thing. So
right.
Please tell us about the award.
Well, I really don't know if I actually deserved it, because the only thing is that, yes, I'm perhaps one of the first ones to have done something a little differently by working at the grassroots level, by quitting my corporate job and working at the grassroots. That is something that people say is usually what people don't do. But I think it's what most of us need to do if we want development to be brought about at the grassroots level. Anyway, having said that, the award it's called the Young Indian Leaders Award, which was awarded to me courtesy CNN, IBN, and that's basically what it was.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, I think that's really something. Now, you had a career in corporate life.
That's right.
What made you take such a dramatic change in your career and in your life?
Frankly, it wasn't something that I had ever planned on. It's not something I decided about. But it being the village that I'm now the sarpanch of, that's the designation back home, it's my home village, so to speak, and the people, the village inhabitants, they were familiar with me because I used to spend a lot of time during my vacations as a child in the village.
Right.
And we have, at the grassroots level, we have elections. This year it was basically a seat reserved for women. And that's how they thought about me, because I think development has not really happened in the village for a very long time. And whatever it may be, it does, the people who are living it every single day, it obviously does affect them in a big way. And
of course.
They also do get frustrated. They also want change, and they have a right to hope for a better life. So in fact, they came to me and approached me saying that we want you to become the sarpanch. And especially it was all the men, the older men who most of them even older than my dad, who came, and they had high expectations and a lot of hope that I could see in their eyes. And there was no way I just didn't have the heart to disappoint them. And at the same time, I also thought, with education being sort of, I would say, it works to my advantage. And I thought, how they say charity begins at home. So this village is home to me.
Yes.
And in fact, for most of us, especially in India, all of us hail from some village or the other. So I was just doing what I think I really needed to do, by going back and helping develop the area.
Right. Well, many politicians I know, the morning after the election, they suddenly wake up with the reality of having won, and oh my God, I've got to deal with these challenges now. So what were the immediate challenges that you were faced with and are faced with now?
That's a brilliant question, because in the village, I, in fact, on day one itself, I frankly did not know where to start from, because there are issues at every single level. And however, the priority that we decided to focus upon was potable water, because even the groundwater has been declared unsafe for irrigation.
Over how big an area, though? Not just your village. There must be other parts of Rajasthan.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, the entire belt. In fact, my village falls in a district called Tonk. That's T-O-N-K. And the government has declared it as a backward or undeveloped district of Rajasthan. So that in itself means there is a lot that needs to be done in this region, and everybody there does suffer from pretty much the same issues. So potable water was priority because apart from being highly contaminated, fluoride, chloride contamination, which leads to dental and skeletal fluorosis, and so very often I've noticed people they speak about health, but water and health are interrelated. So I think that is something, the very basic needs to be taken care of. So we took that as a project on priority. And also apart from the contamination, the water is also very saline. At a depth of just about 60 to 70 feet, you're touching very saline water.
Right. So
people are dependent only on rainwater. That's the only available source of safer drinkable water. And that's our project, and that is what we're struggling with.
So what can you do, I mean, practically?
Practically what we can do is, and what we are trying to do is, our main reservoir, it covers an area of 100 acres. And we're looking for sustainable projects. So the estimated cost of this project, if I were to convert it to US dollars, is 775,366 USD. So that's the kind of amount I need to raise. Unfortunately, I of course believe in going by the book, so I approached the government to help me.
That would be your first place.
That's right.
You'd have to do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
However, unfortunate as it is, there are certain restrictions within the government schemes, and they do not permit usage of machinery. And these are reservoirs that the villages have been depending on over the years. Depending on the slope of the land is how they built the catchment areas. And so a lot of silt has accumulated over the years. It's a dusty region.
Yes.
Now if you want to desilt, we need to use earth movers. However, the government has granted me permission to raise funds independently and take up the project independently. But I'm struggling because I have not received any outside support. We don't have any NGOs working in the village. We don't have any industries in the area.
No corporate benefactors?
No, none whatsoever.
I mean, have you approached any?
I have.
Indian banks, for example?
Yes, I approach banks. I've approached a lot of the private as well as the public sector companies, but nothing's come of it yet. So since I got elected in February 2010, August is when the monsoons were to begin. So I wanted to do the project prior to monsoon so we could benefit from it.
Of course.
So at the end of it, my immediate family and 2 of my dad's friends and only 1 outsider contributed, and I was able to collect 20 lakhs of rupees, which works out to, I think, about 44,000 USD, around that much.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with math. So I was able to do, but it's more like a drop in the ocean.
Of course.
So of the 100 acres, I've probably just been able to do 10 acres.
But this is just one of the challenges, isn't it?
It's one of the challenges,
I mean,
yes.
what about food, for example?
Agriculture, as I said, is seasonal, and it's only dependent on rainfall. And that's the only thing that they depend on. There are no other job opportunities available to them. There's no other source of income.
No.
So
what do people do in the village then?
For those who can afford to go to cities, move out. They even send their kids to study to towns or cities nearby. But for those who are within the village, there is absolutely nothing. In fact, last year, prior to the monsoons, the government was distributing money because it was a drought season, rather drought year. And the government was therefore distributing money on basis of how much land a person owned. So that's what they were depending on, but it wasn't enough. And
education is very important to the next generation.
Yes.
And as you know, that's a very important part of the Millennium Goals for the United Nations.
That's right.
But what kind of technology access do you have? Do you have computers there?
Sadly enough, we have the infrastructure for ICT to come
you do.
through.
You have a digital link?
Not yet, but I'm working on it. I've already spoken to the minister, and we should get the cable line very soon.
Right.
Also, just this year, which was, I think, was the biggest achievement for the village, we had our first modern bank branch opened up early this year. And I think with that, the opportunities, and I think that would also help us in achieving the MDGs a little faster, because there would be support, financial support for the people. But speaking of ICT, the infrastructure that we do have electricity. It's not 24 hours, but
It's
at
not.
least we have the basic infrastructure. Not all houses have electricity connection, but the main hub does have electricity. Right now, we just get 6 hours of electricity during the day and a few hours at night, which is better than last year. Last year, we were only getting 4 to 5 hours of electricity the entire day.
Wow.
So I went and spoke with the minister, and he was kind enough to speak to the engineer, and we got a little more than what we were getting last year, but there's still so much to do. It's the perfect environment for solar energy, but we haven't yet been able to connect with people who could
That technology.
bring in
Yes.
that technology. We have mobile penetration is very high. As the saying goes, there are more mobile phones than there are toilets.
Yes.
You know, we have about 70% penetration of mobile phones. We have 2 cell phone towers. So the basic infrastructure is there. Just a question of getting the right people to connect and help. Because education, in fact, if I were to tell you, speaking of primary education, it's more namesake than it is to actually educate children. Just to give an example, in primary school, by primary we mean until 5th grade.
Yes.
The school just has 2 teachers, maximum 3. And what happens is you have cramped classrooms wherein 2nd, 3rd, and 5th standard kids are sitting in the same room,
Right.
being taught by the same teacher at the same time. So
That's
obviously the quality
very difficult.
is not, yeah.
Very
So I'm
difficult.
hoping through ICT, the one thing that could perhaps do very well is virtual learning, you know, not just for the kids, even for mothers who are expecting,
Absolutely.
health
Yes.
training programs for families.
What about literacy in the village? Is it high or
There
not
are,
good?
See, we have one high school,
Yeah.
but as I said, the quality is not there. In the high school, by high school I mean the 11th and 12th standard
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
That's before they move on to to the college. We only have 3 subjects available for the children. That's Hindi, Sanskrit, geography. There is no other option available.
No history, no
No
mathematics.
history, no math, no commerce, no science, none of
In
that.
all the things that are necessary for today's world.
That's right.
Yeah.
There is, in fact, if you look at the kids, that is what really pains me is that these are children who actually have no hope. They have no dreams because there is nothing there for them. It actually makes me want to cry
Yeah, of course.
because I can look inside their eyes and it's just blank, you know. There's absolutely nothing out there. So that there is so much to do. Education, job opportunities, adult education. We want to bring in vocational training programs, not just for adults, but at the high school level, because it would sort of bring in that hope and also train people for what the world is outside.
Right.
So in fact, there is so much, just so much to do.
Of course, of course. This could be a lifetime commitment if you get re-elected. How often are there elections?
One tenure is for 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, but what the government is trying to do is to give an opportunity to people from all levels of society. So this
Right.
year, as I said, it was a reserved seat for women, so that women get to come in the forefront. Next tenure, it could be, you know, somebody from the lower strata of the society, or it just could be a general election where anybody could stand. So it changes every tenure.
And women are much more accepted as political leaders in India. You've had prime ministers, but I
Yes.
wonder if it has gone down to the grassroots level.
I think at the grassroots level, it's not all that great, which it could be, because the women are the ones who actually are stronger in rural area. They're the ones who do everything from taking care of the household to cultivating the land, working if they do have the option of working, while the men just sit around, play cards and smoke and gossip. But it's the women who actually know what the problems are inside the house and outside of the house. They're the ones who want a better life. Just to give an example, sanitation is a big issue. We want to make toilets in each and every house in the village. And it was when I got elected, the women were the ones who walked up to me and said, you know, we would want toilets in our houses. Now the question is, where do I get the funding from?
Yeah.
You know, because they can't afford it. They don't have money to buy food. They cannot construct toilets. But going back to this, in fact, when I got elected and water and sanitation being a primary issue, I went and met the UNICEF Water and Sanitation Department. And they were totally surprised. They were like, you know, it's the first time we've heard that somebody from the village, within the village, wants toilets. And I told them that you're outsiders. Nobody's going to come and tell you what they want.
Right.
You know, but I belong to the village and I know what the issues are, and they're comfortable with me. But going back to women, one, lack of education, and there's really no moral support. Because women are strong, but there's nobody to back them up. So that is much needed for women to, you know, get a grip and do well. Right now what happens is it's usually the woman's husband or the son who runs the show for her.
Right.
And she's more like just a figure who just signs the paper.
Well, your village and your challenges are absolutely at the heart of what the UN Millennium Goals
Yes.
was attempting to achieve and is achieving in many, many areas.
True.
But I have to say that to have someone involved right at the cutting edge of all of this is, I think, very interesting for our viewers. And thank you very much for being with us today, Chhavi Rajawat. May I call you Madam Mayor? We probably would here.
Just call me Chhavi.
Chhavi, I will. And your village of Soda in Rajasthan, India.
Right.
We will watch your progress with great interest, and we hope that you'll come back and see us again.
Oh, I look forward to that.
And thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being with us.
Thanks for having me over.
It's a pleasure. Alan Kappa, South South News.